All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're not just looking at some new technology. We're actually digging into something way more fundamental, a blueprint for explaining pretty much any complex idea and making it stick. This is all about changing how you communicate, making sure your best ideas don't just get heard, but actually get people to do something. I mean, haven't we all been there? You've got this game-changing idea, something that could be huge for your company, but then you try to explain it and you just get these blank stares. It's like there's this giant canyon, a communication chasm, between your brilliant idea and the action you need people to take. So the real question is, how do you build a bridge over that thing? So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into the communication challenge itself, why so many great ideas just fall flat. Then we'll get to the good stuff, a powerful 7-part blueprint for success. After that, we'll talk about how to make these big abstract ideas feel real. And finally, how to use all this to actually drive action. Okay, so let's start with the problem. Because honestly, if you don't understand why great ideas fail, you're just going to repeat the same mistakes. Figuring this out is the first step to making sure your ideas soar.
The biggest offender, 9 times out of 10, is what I'd call the unstructured approach. You know the one I'm talking about. It's when you're so excited you just open the fire hose and blast your audience with everything you know. It's just a flood of facts and figures. It might feel like you're being thorough, but really you're just drowning them.
And yeah, this probably looks familiar. We're all guilty of these. We use way too much jargon, we throw up a mountain of data but completely forget to tell the story behind it. And maybe the biggest mistake of all, we don't connect it to a real business problem or give anyone a clear next step. The result? Total confusion, not clarity. But look, it doesn't have to be that way. There is a much, much better way to do it. Instead of that messy information dump, we can use a strategic blueprint. The best way to think about it is like a recipe. It's this structured, repeatable framework that takes your audience on a journey from just being curious to actually being committed. And when you use this approach, the benefits are huge. Instead of confusion, you get immediate relevance. Instead of just a list of facts, you're building a story that makes sense. You're actually connecting a complex idea to real business strategy, guiding people to the right conclusion, and making them feel confident and ready to act. And that's the goal, right? So what does this magic blueprint actually look like? Let's pull it apart piece by piece. And to make this really tangible, we're going to use a pretty cutting-edge topic as our example all the way through. So the topic we're going to play with is Agentic AI. Now don't worry, you don't need to be an expert. For our purposes, all you need to know is what you see here. It's basically AI that can do stuff on its own to hit a goal. So just imagine you have to explain that to your leadership team. Where would you even start? Well, you'd start right here. This is it. This is the blueprint. It's this 7-step flow that just works. It systematically builds understanding and gets people on board. And it's not just a checklist. It's a narrative. It's a story arc that's designed to have maximum impact. Let's just walk through it with our Agentic AI example. First, you hit them with a hook, maybe a wild statistic about what competitors are saving with automation. Now they're listening. So you frame the business problem. Our customer service is slow. It's costing us millions. Then, the strategic framework. We can use Agentic AI to automate 80% of these issues. You prove it with a real-world example from another company. Then you give them actionable advice. Let's start a small 90-day pilot project. You paint the future outlook, a vision of a super efficient company. And finally, you summarize it all. See? It's a complete persuasive story that just makes sense. Now, every single one of those steps is important, but I really want to zoom in for a second because there are 2 steps in there that are like absolute magic. They're the ones that turn a really complex theoretical idea into real, concrete business value. The first one is the real-world example. This is everything. This is the bridge you build from your technical jargon to their everyday reality. It's that moment where you can literally see the light bulbs go on above their heads. They stop just hearing your words and they start to get it. And here's why they're so powerful. Examples aren't just cute stories, they're proof. They build your credibility, they make the whole idea feel tangible, and most importantly, they answer that giant flashing question in every executive's mind. So what? Why should I care? A great example lets them see exactly how this thing could work in their world. Okay, so that's magic ingredient number 1. Number 2 is moving from just giving them an insight to giving them actionable advice.
See, it's not enough for them to understand something. You have to tell them what to do now. This is how you transform them from being a passive audience into being active partners. You give them a clear, simple first step.
Which brings us perfectly to our last section here, the end game. Because let's be honest, the entire purpose of this whole blueprint isn't to get a round of applause. It's about making something happen. It's about driving strategic action.
So once you've given them a concrete action they can take today, you have to inspire them with a vision for tomorrow. The future outlook. That's where you paint the picture of the long-term potential. It creates a sense of urgency, and it lifts the whole conversation up from being about one small project to being about a huge strategic move. And finally, the summary. And please, this is not a lazy recap. This is your closing argument. This is your final, powerful punch. You quickly restate the problem, your solution, and that one single action they need to take. It's the absolute last thing they're going to hear from you, so it has to be crystal clear and really, really compelling.
When it all comes down to it, the takeaway is pretty simple. An unstructured presentation might get you some polite applause. It might leave people feeling informed, but a strategic blueprint, that empowers people. It makes sure your idea isn't just understood, it's adopted. The goal isn't applause. The goal is action.
Look, this framework is an incredibly powerful tool. You can apply it to literally any complex topic you can think of. Tech, science, finance, you name it. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What's that big, important, complex idea that you are going to build a blueprint for?